give you that sugar rush too quickly again. So this is fine here because we need that sugar to replenish the stores. Okay, but after that we want to be slowing the release of the carbohydrates down. Okay, so zinc and magnesium. To be honest with you, zinc is probably responsible for most of the growth and repair and increases in testosterone that you see across the body. Things like alcohol, caffeine, sugar, excessive carbohydrates actually blunt this response. Okay, so you need to be careful that's why we remove certainly these. Okay, the excessive carbohydrates. So we're looking to get our carbohydrates more from our vegetables and our sort of whole grains as opposed to and anything else. So things like the processed foods like pasta and those sorts of things are not so good. Magnesium is there to help prevent sugar cravings, and this actually is why, you know, when we eat chocolate we feel good, because the cocoa and the magnesium is in the cocoa, okay, which makes you feel really good. So it's not the actual chocolate that you crave, it's the magnesium that's in there, believe me, honestly. Okay, so conventional food, the way it's grown, actually leads to depletion of these two. So that's why we try to choose them from a sort of an organic source, also grown fairly locally as well. So if you're going to supplement, I would suggest supplementing with the citrate or malate versions of magnesium. Okay, not the oxide versions. Okay, because they tend to be quite poor quality. The two most important micronutrients for fat loss, by far and away, magnesium and zinc, and there's some sources for you. Okay, both of these are really good at helping to regulate blood sugar levels, also support immune function. Okay, so they help you not to get ill, and that's why they're really good to get these sorts of foods on board if you do feel like you're a little bit low. Okay, and it will help to regulate your metabolism, as we said earlier, the importance of zinc and magnesium on testosterone levels and the net effect of that on the other hormones. Here's a personal training client of mine, Rich. Okay, that there was a year and a half ago. Okay, that was a few weeks ago. Rich there. This was admittedly a long time before I actually met. I've known Rich for a long time, but this was a long time before Rich actually came to see me at the studio. He'd lost a considerable amount of weight before that, but this is more recently. Okay, and as you can see, Rich is now looking in great shape. Lost over 8 stones. I think here he said he was 21 stone, and he's now 13 stone and 13 and a half stone, and he's looking in great shape now. Okay, so we've helped Rich lose. You know, Rich has lost a lot of weight, but one of the great things is that we actually, if you look at the two pictures here, not a great deal of difference to the naked eye, but when you look closely, Rich has actually lost a lot of body fat here, and you can see how we're working back under the chest there, and we're starting to get the obliques to show through, and we've lost a lot of body fat just here on that last little bit. So by adhering to these principles, Rich has actually managed to lose that stubborn body fat that seems to hang around after mass weight loss. Okay, so overall he lost 7% body fat in 10 weeks. Yeah, absolutely tremendous. Okay, so in summary, if you want a fat belly, do no exercise, eat highly sugary and processed foods, drink caffeine, expose yourself to chronic stress, and eat giant meals which bombard the omentum. Okay, remember that fatty layer that covers over the top of our stomach and down onto the lower part of our intestines. That's what deals with all the stress. Okay, you bombard that. That's linked to the liver. All those chemicals, all that rubbish, crap, is going towards your liver and stressing it. And remember that there is no liposuction for a mental fat. Okay, so there's no way out of this. Okay, right, we're going to just take a little pause before we start training. Okay, the next section. Okay, so training. As you can see here, there's a picture of a lady here with some dumbbells whose whole routine lasts an hour and a half, but she actually spends 15 minutes of doing cardiovascular work and 15 minutes of doing weights. Nothing wrong with that, but she spends about an hour talking herself into it. Alright, so let's have a little look and see what she got up to. Cortisol training. Okay, so it's absolutely fundamental that cortisol is not viewed as all bad. Okay, because cortisol is very important in terms of brain function and also to balance your melatonin in our sleep-wake cycle. Okay, during training is the only time you want it to be high. Okay, it's really beneficial whilst you're training. However, too much training will increase cortisol because training is a stress. Okay, too much training will make you fatter. So Avoid long, slow training, okay, as it increases cortisol levels after about 20 to 30 minutes, okay? Cortisol and insulin, remember that cortisol goes up, so insulin goes up to take out the sugar from the blood, then your testosterone levels drop off, okay? So, or your progesterone for a lady drop off because of this interrelationship between the hormones. So, you want to have high levels of stress for a short period of time. High levels of stress for a short period of time, rest. High levels of stress, rest, okay? So you have that switch between the two, and that's why interval training works so well at reducing body fat over the long, slow, steady stuff. Okay, so you're here for a good time, not for a long time. Okay, favorite saying from one of my friends who I played rugby with. Training for health. Okay, so blood pressure is an indicator of stress. Okay, particularly the top one tends to, the systolic tends to sort of be more of a reflection of your daily stress. The bottom one, diastolic, which when your heart should be relaxing, is more of an indicator of perhaps your chronic stress levels, which you need to be careful of. Okay, blood shunting, a method of training that's very good. Actually helps to open up the blood vessels all around the heart, all around the body rather. So we actually shift the blood from the bottom of the body to the top, and then back to the bottom, and we do that alternate between upper body and lower body. Okay, and this works really, really well at the bottom point here, reducing stress in terms of the periphery of the body, so the blood flows more freely around the whole body. Okay, if you're healthy, I'd say you need to be working on your isometric holds for a maximum of say 30 seconds to a minute. Okay, obviously if you had any other sort of exercise or health-related problems, then you do need to be careful of that. Maximise efficiency in terms of your time and maximise intensity. So make sure you train hard. Okay, if you're healthy, you've got to train hard. And certain exercises will actually make you look fatter. Alright, so one of my, as most of you know me, will be well aware that postural adaptations of the sit-up, okay, and the sit-up being an exercise that really doesn't give you what you think it does. Okay, it's actually going to give you lower back pain. It's going to make your abdominals protrude even further. It's going to give you a forward head posture, which is going to affect your lower back, and also your ability to utilise oxygen, which we'll get to in a minute. And it's going to give you weak glutes because it pulls the pelvis forward, making your glutes long and weak. And this has serious implications for performance and for calorie burning. So the anterior pelvic tilt. So do your sit-ups, hip flexors get tight, lower back gets, so because that pulls forward there, you then get this tilt and the lower back shortens up. So you get lower back pain here in L3, okay, and you have tight hip flexors here, so when you run you're going to feel really tight, okay. Also then makes the glutes weak, okay, because any muscle that's long is then weak, okay, so that muscle's weak. You've also then just lengthened out the abdominals, okay, so you've made them weaker. Right, so what we need to be doing is reversing that, so we need to be squeezing the glutes, okay, and making the abdominals shorter, okay, there, making them stronger. Right, so that's basically how the sit-up can actually wreck your posture, okay. Forward head migration, okay, commonly seen in today's society, okay, so this position is unfortunately a position that a lot of people have to work at a desk. So the blue dots actually represent underactive muscles. Now, underactive because of the way that we've actually trained them. So we've been sat down, so they become long, and they've become long. Okay, so the glutes, the upper back, and the middle of the back, and the neck. Front of the shoulder, lower back, and hip flexors, as we just mentioned, have all become overactive because they're in that shortened position. Okay, they're more in a shortened position as a result of these pulling the pelvis forward, and these are because we have rounded shoulders. Right, so these are the areas that need stretching, and these are the areas that need strengthening. Not so much the neck there, because we can actually pull the shoulder blades back together by working on these muscles here. Okay, so this actually results in a phenomenon known as the love-at-brother relationship. Okay, so you have a forward head posture, the cervical spine, C3, becomes affected. Now, Lovett and brother were both two. They were two. What am I trying to say now? Two chiropractors, okay, who found that there was a specific relationship between C3 and L3. Okay, so when you had trauma at either one of these, you'd have trauma at the other. Okay, no relationship. Doesn't have to be any hormone, any muscular relationship. Purely through the fascia which surrounds the muscles becoming tight here, affects L3 there. So you have musculoskeletal effects. Okay, so a shift in the centre of gravity because of this forward head posture. As a result of the forward head posture, you get artery constriction around the neck, and you're likely to suffer from memory loss or poor balance. You get nerve impingement at the base of the skull, which can result in sort of tingling arms. Okay, because of this, again, because of this forward head posture, and also decreased lung capacity, which has serious effects on performance. Okay, studies have shown up to 30% reduction in lung capacity due to poor muscle recruitment. Okay, so how to warm up and activate? Obviously, most of us unfortunately spend a lot of time sat down, so we know which muscles are going to be overactive, which muscles are going to be underactive. So the idea is we wake up the ones that are underactive and we switch off the ones that are doing too much. Okay, without doing the proper warm up and mobility, you can be doing the right exercises but using the wrong muscles. All right. So one of the things that I do with my clients is we do a thing called glute spindling. Okay, which is basically punching the glutes. Okay, pummeling the glutes. And this helps to wake those muscles up neurologically. You may have seen weightlifters being slapped by their coach. Okay, so glute spindling, glute pummeling works in the same way. Okay, it activates the neurological system, gets it fired up. Okay, with some of my clients, I'll use foam rolling. Okay, which reduces tension in the fascia. Now, the fascia is, if you think about the muscle being a sausage, so the meat in the middle is your muscle, and the skin on the outside is your fascia. And the fascia connects the whole body, and through this fascia passes neurological signals which help to improve movement and deliver oxygen to the working muscles. Now, if this has got tension in it, we're never going to move well. Right, so a foam roll first, get rid of the tension in the fascia so that the muscle in the middle can move well. We then inhibit the ones that are overactive. Okay, then we then activate the ones that we want to work more, and we then mobilize the joints. Okay, so we have a specific set of specific system, if you like, of sequence that we use every time to wake up the right muscles. Okay, so looking at intensity and difficulty, right? There are massive differences between the two. Okay, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, that was a tough session," or you'll hear people say, "Oh, that was really intense today." Sometimes it's actually not more intense. Sometimes it's just more difficult. Right? And things that make the session more difficult can be a lack of sleep, a lack of food preparation, a lack of mobility prior to the session. That's the warm up, or perhaps the things like environmental. So perhaps it's really hot. Okay, that can make a session more difficult. It's very different to what makes a session more intense. Okay, in my eyes, what makes a session more intense is more work in the same amount of time. Okay, less rest. So less rest in terms of in between each exercise, or in terms of the total amount of rest within the session, or the same amount of work but in less time. Okay, so you've actually become more powerful. All right, so that's what makes the session more intense. So you just make sure that you can differentiate between the two and understand that sometimes you made the session more difficult, or the session's more difficult because of the things that perhaps you may not have done before, or your trainer's made the session more intense for you. Okay. Right, muscle soreness. Now, it is definitely acceptable to get sore after sessions. Okay, it's very, very normal, particularly as you're adapting to new exercises. Okay, it's the lowering phase of the exercise that you're really going to get this soreness from. Okay, so that's why we do it under control. Now, muscles, if you imagine, you've got a series of little hooks, and as the muscle shortens, these hooks pull along each other to shorten the muscle up. Okay, and it's on the way down that when they're lengthening, okay, that these little hooks pull apart, and that's when the damage occurs. Okay, and that's how you get that soreness afterwards. So that's why it's so important to make sure that you get the downwards phase of the movement under control, and do, in fact, the upwards phase as well. But it's so important to make sure that you get the technique right so that you get that effect. Okay, so this is massively important also in terms of post-exercise energy consumption. Okay, or EPOC, as we'll see in a minute. Okay, this will impact on your recovery as well. So getting this burn is a good thing, okay, because you start to burn calories after you finish your session. Okay. Muscle breakdown repair. Okay, so this lady's going to be doing a squat here. Okay, as she goes down, okay, the muscles are shortening in terms of in the hamstring. Okay, on the way down, and as she stands up, they're going to lengthen. Okay, so you're going to get the lengthening under tension, muscles pulling apart there. So generally, okay, lowering towards the ground is known as the eccentric phase, and going away from gravity is the concentric phase. So with a press up, on the way down, okay, the muscles are lengthening under tension, and then as you push away from the ground Okay, it's the concentric base. Okay, so how to